Hello and welcome to the Bottom Up Skills Podcast. I'm Mike Parsons, the Chief Executive Officer at Qualitance. And here we are, we're on our third part into a 14-part series on design thinking, one of my absolute favorites. And talking about favorites, let's talk about Airbnb, because we are now going to look at how Airbnb uses design thinking with employees. In the previous show, we covered how Airbnb uses design thinking with customers. Let's have a look at how they do it with employees, and let's see what inspiration, what tips and tricks we can take from Airbnb when it comes to designing the world of an employee. Now, there's a couple of cool things that I want to focus on here, a mixture of structural and tactical, and to look at some of the results that it garnered. But perhaps the first most fundamental thing that Airbnb did is they reimagined human resources. You know, human resources was often, right next door to the accounting and finance and perhaps the legal team in a traditional office, and was sort of hidden in the back corner. Well, what's really interesting about Airbnb, they put them front and center. And rather than calling the whole team human resources, they became the employee experience team. And actually, the chief HR officer now is the chief employee experience officer. And by making such a fundamental organizational change and reframing the expectations from human resources to employee experience, they really unlocked a world of magic. And what's so elegant about this is that this is a company that is so famous for customer experience. Obviously, it was so damn straightforward to continue thinking about user journeys, user insights, customer experience, and just merely mirroring that on the inside with employee experience. So there you have it. This is the first fundamental step when you think about using design thinking on the inside, is shift away from just human resources and redefine the role of what was your HR team to own the employee experience. Simple, but yet just so powerful. So let's break down what this meant, not just in name, but let's have a look at the roles, the responsibilities. What was the mission for the employee experience team? And I want to start by just explaining what a normal HR team would take care of. They'd go out and recruit new employees. They would manage, develop, and support the talent already in the organization. And, the big one, it'd make sure we would all get paid. So payroll and benefits, maybe throw in a bit of health insurance along for the ride. This is the traditional HR remit. But let's have a look at what Airbnb added to the traditional HR mandate and how they increased it by more than double. And what we'll do in a moment is we'll have a look at some of the results it got. So we've got recruitment, we've got talent, payroll and benefits, the cornerstones of human resources. Well, check this out. They added 4 new responsibilities to the employee experience team. Number 1, ground control, all about celebrating culture. All of the facilities, so essentially the spaces and all the different modalities that they have to cater for. Food, very important. And lastly, citizenship. And that was all about how Airbnb contributed in the communities in which it worked. So there you go. You've got the big 4. Let's break them down and look at how they really shape the organization. The big one in my mind, depends if I'm thinking about lunch or not, but the big one in my mind is ground control. This is all about culture. This is about defining, celebrating, showcasing, and essentially turbocharging the culture inside of the organization. And their whole culture is based around belonging, which is really powerful because they also propose that on the outside as well. So ground control is a group, it's a team of people inside of the organization, and their job is to celebrate, showcase culture. And what's really interesting is we'll see that come back in some of the outputs a little later on. Facilities, if you've ever had the chance to go to an Airbnb, you'll know what I mean by these offices are absolutely wonderful. Rich, diverse, interesting. I'd never get bored working from different spots throughout the Airbnb office. They've done a wonderful job. It's all themed. They've even had this great idea that different rooms are actually based on the rooms that their hosts have all around the world, which is really, really neat. When it comes to food, I can assure you, I've actually had some lunch there at 88 Brannan, San Francisco, and I can tell you the food is wonderful and you got a ton of different options. But it's really great because it's part of your employment. A great food and dining experience comes with it. It really reinforces belonging, and frankly, you can eat really, really well and you don't have the hassle of having to leave the office. And lastly, there's the Citizenship Team. And this one's really important because, the company really needs a connection between what's happening on the outside and the in. They're not without controversy and challenge. A lot of cities attribute a rise in rental prices to Airbnb. So it's so important that Airbnb works together with the communities that they are active in to better understand them and to work together to get better outcomes. So that's the Citizenship Team. So look at those big four on top of the standard recruiting, talent, and payroll responsibilities. This dramatically changes how you think about the use of design thinking, because not only did we see that they've successfully built trust to consumers, they've created a place where employees can belong to. And this all came from this powerful insight, which is total pure design thinking, which is, don't think about this as human resources, define it as the employee experience team. So this is so good because this has opened up all of these new ideas. It's opened up a whole new mandate for what was the human resources team and is now the employee experience team. Let's take a quick moment just to have a look at some of the results that this has actually achieved for the business. Just over a year or two ago, the company advertised that they had 900 open positions in the organization, 900. And for that, they received 180,000 CVs and applications. 900 positions, 180,000 applicants. Pretty impressive stuff, particularly in a knowledge economy where talent is so scarce. Now, I did a little bit of a study on Glassdoor and Indeed, and I tend to do this with all of my case studies, and I have to say the numbers are really good for Airbnb, and I recently updated them, and they even got better post-COVID. And Brian Chesky was actually acknowledged as being one of the better leaders throughout the COVID process. So kudos to Brian. But let's have a look at the numbers. 91% of the people reviewing, these are their employees that are reviewing the company. And just so you know, over 1,000 employees have actually reviewed on Glassdoor. 91% approval of the CEO. That's extremely high. So just so you know, better than Revolut, way better than WeWork, and right up there with Zoom. Where they're also very, very strong is that 81% would recommend working at Airbnb to a friend. And okay, really interesting thing. The deliberate things that I just described to you are exactly the most mentioned things that people say are the positives about Airbnb. In 57 different reviews, people actually specifically reference the food done by the employee experience team. The second thing is great company culture. They've got a culture team, great benefits, 53 reviews. So now you actually see some hard numbers behind this success. They have a very good work-life balance. There's a lot of breakdowns on both management and culture. They even do a really good job on supporting the roles of women, and they score very well there in terms of family support in particular. So there you have it. Airbnb has used design thinking to reimagine the role of HR, to reinvent it as employee experience. They've done a bunch of things in order to really transform the traditional hidden in the corner payroll team. It's now the employee experience team that directly builds the culture. And the numbers just don't lie. Exceedingly well reviewed by the employees themselves. So there you have it. This is how design thinking has permeated not only on the outside, but on the inside of Airbnb as well. If you'd like to go a bit deeper into design thinking, jump over to bottomup.io, where you can actually take our free design thinking masterclass. I really encourage you to jump in there, tell us what you think, give us some feedback. We're all about giving entrepreneurs the skills they need to design, build, create great products and services, maybe even businesses too. All right, that's a wrap.